Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video we'll be doing the review for this Honor 4C, which is a budget-oriented Android device by Huawei. It sports some pretty decent specs for the price, and though it's sort of a budget-oriented phone, the first thing that I noticed about this phone is that it does not feel like a cheap phone. The build quality is nice and it has that certain heft. Some of you might not like it, but it feels nice, but it's on the heavier side, I would say. If you're coming from many of the other phones, particularly for example Lenovo A6000 etc., which are like pretty light, this is on the heavier side. But I like I would say the styling of this phone. It looks actually really nice, and people won't believe that it costs just rupees 9,000 here in India. And the specs also are pretty nice. It sports a 5-inch 720p HD screen, and I'll talk about the screen a bit later. And it has 2 gigs of RAM, thereby the multitasking is nice. And you'll notice that the UI is very different. It still runs Android, but it's running on Emotion UI. Talking about the UI, let me show you the settings. These are the quick toggles that we get. If you go over here, you can access all the settings. And if you go to about the device, as you can see, it is running on Android version 4.4.2, that is KitKat. So that is the thing. That's a little bit annoying, I would say. It's still on 4.4.2, so I'm not very sure when this device will get Android Lollipop, and it runs on this Emotion UI. And I would say for the most part it is very fluid in operations, but again, as most of these Chinese vendors, we don't have a dedicated app trace, so all the apps will be here, but we have access to folders, so you can do that. And for the most part, I would say it runs it very smoothly. Again, it runs a custom SoC, which is Huawei's own current 620 SoC, which is actually an Octa Core processor based on the ARM Cortex A53, which is 64-bit processor, as you can see. And it's an Octa Core processor, and it runs this device very well. Regarding the GPU, it is powered by the Mali 450 GPU. And the thing that I like is, even in terms of sensors, it does not have a lot of sensors, but it has almost all the important sensors that you need. So they haven't skimped on that. It also has the auto brightness sensor. Let me actually give you a physical overview first. On the top, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack. This is the volume rocker. This is the power on-off button. And on the bottom, the micro USB slot, the main microphone. On this end, we have nothing. But if we move towards the back, we have a 13 megapixel camera with LED flash and a secondary noise cancellation mic. On a branding, this opening is for the speaker, and I'm happy to say that the speaker is loud enough. The back cover can be opened, but the battery is sort of sealed inside. Let me actually show you that. As you can see, the battery is sealed inside, and it's a dual SIM device, but again, it's just a 3G device. It does not have 4G capabilities. I did all my testing with just a single SIM, and we can also add a micro SD card. Up to 32 gigs is supported. Now, if we talk about the internal storage, it comes with 8 gigs of internal storage. You might say that is pretty low. Yes, it's pretty low. But the good thing is that, as I mentioned, we can add a micro SD card. And if you go to the settings, we can set the default storage to the SD card. As you can see, I've set the default storage to the micro SD card. And now all the games, apps, etc. that you install will directly install on the SD card. And that way, even though the internal storage is low, I could install a lot of heavy games, etc. for like Asphalt 8, Modern Combat 5, Dead Trigger, etc. easily. So by adding a micro SD card, the storage issue should be solved. And if we talk about the general responsiveness of the phone is very responsive, as I told you. Again, we have 3 physical capacitive buttons. This is back, home, and this is for the multitasking. If you hold this, you get access to this multitasking tray. And it is like this. You can just swipe away stuff if you want, if you do this. So this is the multitasking tray, and it works very well. I also ran some benchmarks, and as you can see on Antutu, we got a score of about 27,000. Max it touched was around 29,000. So it's actually pretty decent for a budget-oriented device. Also, if you notice, I have so many apps running. Then also the performance of the phone was really good. So I really like that thing about the device. Also, in terms of gaming, I could run a lot of games on this device, as you can see, and it ran many of the games fine. Yes, in some heavy games, at times there was a little bit of drop frames, but for the most part, I would say the gaming experience was also very good. And also with extended gaming, I did not exhibit any overheating issues with the device. Now if we move towards the camera, the rear facing camera is a 13 megapixel shooter, whereas the front facing camera is a 5 megapixel shooter. And I would say the camera performance is really good on this device. Let me show you. This is the camera app that we get, and it's very easy. You have this tap to focus. And if you notice how quickly once the focusing is done, focusing can take some time in artificial lighting, I would say, but once the focusing is done, the shutter speed is very good. But you have to be a little bit patient for it to focus, otherwise the pictures might come a little bit blurred. I have actually taken a lot of sample shots, so let me show you these sample shots so that you can judge the camera performance. These pictures were shot with the rear facing camera of the Honor 4C, and as you can see, the pictures are really good. It was a cloudy day, and I really like the depth of field, the bokeh effect that you can get with this device even in the auto mode. When we move to the color accuracy of the pictures, here also I was satisfied. It produced pictures with natural looking colors. Part of the video footage with the front facing camera of this Honor 4C, and I'll just move around to give you an idea how it handles abrupt lighting conditions. So this is the sample footage with the front facing camera of the Honor 4C in outdoor conditions. Part of the video footage with the rear facing camera of this Honor 4C, and we have tap to focus, so you can use that to quickly focus to a particular area. As you can see, sky, it's a cloudy day today, so this should give you an idea about the video recording with the Honor 4C rear facing camera. Now if we move to pictures taken in artificial lighting conditions, here I would say the camera is okay but not that great. But still I feel it produces decent picture even in artificial lighting, but yes, there is quite a bit of noise in the picture. So as you saw, the camera performance was also very nice on this phone. Even the front facing camera was nice, but just make sure that the beautify option is on by default, so the pictures look a little bit plasticky, so just shut that off when you use the front facing camera. Overall, I would say in terms of camera, I would say under 10,000 rupees, I would say it has one of the best cameras in the market for a budget oriented device. Yes, in very low lighting and artificial lighting, yes, the pictures struggle up a bit, but that's the case with almost every budget oriented device as of now. But certainly in the budget market, I would say the camera is a highlighting factor about this device. Now let me quickly divide this phone between the pros and the cons, and let's start with the pros. As I told you, the build quality is really nice. It feels like a premium device, but again, it's a little bit heavy. I also like this emotion UI that comes, the skin that we have, and it offers a lot of options. For example, even the lock screen, if you just swipe up, you get access to your tracks and calculator, torchlight, etc. So a lot of functionality is there. Even if you go to the gallery, for example, if you go to the gallery and you're looking at pictures, let's say you want to quickly go to the camera, you just swipe down and you can access the camera. So we have nifty features like this. And if you notice, let me just fire up some apps, and for the most part, as you notice, apps launch very fast on this device, so it's a very snappy device. Also, as I mentioned, the speaker is good. Let me actually play a YouTube video and show you the same. Let's do that. For example, let's try to play this video. Because I've already taken out the handset and I've been using it for about 12 hours. I've already tweeted about it, but this is the so as you can see, the speaker is loud, and when we move to the cellular call quality, was also very nice and clear. Another good thing is that it does support USB Otg out of the box, so you are covered with that. And again, as I mentioned, the camera performance is also really nice. And regarding apps, though the internal storage is low, but you can add a micro SD card and set it as the default storage. Thereby, you can install apps on that. And also in terms of gaming performance, the gaming performance was really good. Now let's move to the cons of this device. Again, as I mentioned, it's on the heavier side. And another big con that I have with this device is that most of you might not notice it, but I'm very picky about colors. The colors are actually very off on this device. In fact, the greens look fluorescent. Let me actually show you. I have a file over here. Let's go to ES File Explorer. And as you can see, USB Otg is detected. And this is a file. It has a lot of green. So let me just play this file. And I don't know if the camera is able to capture it, but the greens look a little bit on the artificial side. So that is one thing that I have noticed. The color accuracy in terms of greens is a little bit off. Yes, there is a setting inside here where you can tweak some of the colors, but I did try that, but that also did not fix. For example, with the color temperature, you can play around, but that also did not fix. In fact, as you can see, I've kept it on warm. By default, it will be here at the middle like this, but that also did not fix it. So I would say that in terms of sharpness, the screen is very good. It's very sharp screen, but the colors are a little bit off to my liking. Also, in terms of battery, the battery, as I mentioned, is a 2550 milliamp hour battery, and it's not user replaceable. And I would say the battery life is sort of okay, but not that great. It will last you for a full working day. At the end of the day, I was mostly at around 15% or so, which is actually a little bit low, because on many other handsets, for example, this is the Lenovo A6000, I used to be anywhere around 35%. So yes, it can last you, but again, I wouldn't say the battery life is terrific. It's just sort of average in my opinion. Another biggest con is that it does not have any 4G support. So it's strictly a 2G and a 3G device. And lastly, it's still on KitKat, that's 4.4.2. So I'm not very sure when will Android L Lollipop come on this device. So overall, as you can see, this is a very good device, and also it has theme support, but these are the 5 themes that are there, and it changes the look of the phone. So overall, as you can see, it's a pretty decent device, but again, not without its flaws. But again, considering the price point of around 9,000 rupees, I do feel that if 4G is not very important to you, and if you are okay with the slightly heavy weight of this device and camera is a high priority, then you can certainly have a look at this Honor 4C. I hope you found this video review helpful, and thanks for watching. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video.